Hi, everyone. This is, I think, Thursday, July 11th, 2025. And I'm here with Judy Irwin of BCX fame. And we talk about how to use the BCX, lots of general conversation probably, but the big focus for today is how do you deal with fungus? We all fuss and worry about bacteria and virus. But I had an experience just recently thinking, oh, maybe I have a fungal infection. OMG. So I have questions and we have advice, and Judy has more experience than I do. But that's the big focus is fungal infections of all sorts. And so let me just say welcome, Judy.
Thank you for having me, Patty. I'm always happy to talk with you. We
Okay.
have so many fun things to talk about.
I know that is really true. And there's a lot, I think that's shifting in the world in terms of medicine and healing. People are beginning to understand that you have to heal. You can't just take a pill that covers up symptoms and makes you think you're all better. In the meantime, something else is crashing that depends on that system that's not working. And so then a second system crashes within the body. We need to be a little more mindful about, are we healing or are we covering up? So that's the big focus.
So often it's covering the symptom because you just want to feel better. You just want to feel better. And healing can be a process that isn't always comfortable.
So let me
You know about that.
Yeah. So I went to Berkeley Springs back in June 14th. I gave a talk there. And on the way home, something very unusual took place. And I felt like I got shot in the neck. And it was during this incredible downpour going through the mountains on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. And so there was a lot of tension. And I thought, maybe I was doing this, kind of thing. But something snapped in the sternocleidomastoid muscle, which is a big muscle that kind of holds your head on. Okay. It connects to the.
It gives me trouble all the time.
Yeah. It connects to the collarbone. It connects to the skull, a little bit to the collar or the shoulder blade, etc. And that, so I came home with razor throat, the flu thing that's been going around, and it was pretty painful. I know what to do. So I did what I know. And within maybe 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 or 5, I was feeling pretty good, enough that I could, keep my schedule, get myself to a place where I could talk and work online and, do my thing. And then was right back in bed afterwards. I'm going to say maybe a week after that, I thought, hang on, actually, I took a note. Okay, it was actually the week before I went to Berkeley Springs. I had this kind of an intuitive thing that said, I have a feeling that the couple things that I just can't seem to heal are the result of some sort of hidden thing. What is it? And what kept coming to me was you have a fungus, you have candida, and so okay, so I ran program number. This is pre-program number 454, which was fungus and mold general.
Right.
456, which is fungal infection. Okay, that was on June 7th. And then I went to Berkeley Springs. And when I came home with that razor throat condition, I thought when I was feeling better, okay, I'm going to pick up and I'm going to do some more work with fungus. I didn't have any reaction to the other two. So I'm just going to run those again just in case. So I ran 454 and 456. And then I'm thumbing through the book and I see this thing called Torolopsis. Torolopsis. I guess it's program number 1164. It's a 12-minute program. And I thought, okay, I'm going to run that just in case. And then I thought, you know what? I did some research a while ago involving my fingernails and why they're so ridged. And one of the things I read was that I probably had a virus called Trichophyty nagel or something like that. That was number 1173. So I ran that. And then I ran 1174 thinking, I think 1174 was the long version of Trichophyty.
Uh-huh.
And I went down like a rock, and I ran those on like a Monday or a Tuesday. By Wednesday evening, I had to go to bed, and I was in some of the worst pain, the worst aches I have ever had. I laid there in bed. I could feel it was like every organ in my body was outlined with some kind of pain. I could feel the liver screaming, the pancreas yelling at me. The stomach was upset. The spleen, which I think the spleen is a little higher than I thought it was. My kidneys, everything. And I was taking some flu medicine. I felt like I had the flu, like I was coming down with a
Right. That's often the way it makes you feel.
So I took some oscillococcinum, which is a homeopathic remedy. And I, 6 hours later, I took another dose of the oscillo. But I was absolutely wanted to die for about 30 hours. I slept most of that time because I was so miserable. And when I came through, I thought, holy cow, I don't know what I did, but I sure hit the jackpot with something. So the mistake was running all of those things. Exactly. 454, 456, 1164, 1173, and 1174. And
now you don't know which one actually did it, or if one or two of them did it. And you did not find the one I put at one of the top of the list on my protocol, and that's 211. And that is for the Candida.
Okay. Oh, I think I ran that too, but I didn't write it down.
Right. Well, that's the one I suggest everyone run first. And
Candida.
Of course, as you know, I always recommend that you do one at a time so you know which one does it. And he doesn't do that.
I know. I was in such a I need to heal kind of moment. The Candida one, I remember thinking as I was running it, I can feel this.
Yes. And when you get the frequencies that work, you often can. But just like we were talking earlier about the healing process, see, you had to go through a healing process that was very uncomfortable. And most people just want to fix the symptom.
That's
they don't
right.
want to be uncomfortable, I know.
So
a tough situation at times. And of course, if they overdo, which is what I think you did, get into the situation, then you're really down for the count.
I know. And I want to highlight what you just said. When you have some kind of problem, whether it's bacteria, virus, a fungus, mold, whatever it is, and you go after that and you have a big die off, you're going to have every elimination organ complaining, overloaded. It's really important to drink a lot of water. It's really important not to bother yourself with food. Don't eat, because food is like putting poison in the body. When the body's trying to heal and it has to stop healing in order to digest food, there goes all your healing. And
but it usually doesn't digest the food. And then
that's right.
Toxin.
You're right.
So,
And the whole
so
thing becomes a toxic mess, and it adds to the
right,
effort of the body to get rid of what it cannot use and whatever the die off was. And so people often will feel worse before they feel better. And
often,
I remember when I was in medical school, they said a cold is really the cold is over. You know, all the congestion and the coughing is really just the junk that the body has killed, and now you
right,
have to get rid of it.
right. They've
Actual infection has been
virus,
taken care of.
whatever. Yeah. Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing with cancer. I
Right.
remember Dr. Gonzalez saying to me, it's easy to kill cancer, but it's
Mhm.
really a challenge to get it out, to get that dead tumor tissue out of the body. It poisons you.
Mhm.
I never forgot that. So I think I just poisoned myself with a bunch of dead fungus.
You
So
did, and you overloaded your system. And of course, I'm sure you were you have a schedule that is killer.
no, it's a
I
busy,
know. And so, you really didn't have the
yeah.
time and energy, if you will, to take that downtime. So down you went.
Yeah,
One thing
yeah.
at a time, Penny.
I
That's the cardinal rule.
I know that is so true. So, what has been your experience with fungus?
Oh my gosh.
Why
First
is that so
part,
much more deadly?
the reason I think it's more deadly is because it's everywhere in the environment. It's everywhere in our bodies. We eat way too much sugar and starch, which is sugar.
Yep,
And the funguses, the mold, fungus, candida, there's a lot of different variations.
right.
They get in the body and they start to wear down the systems. And then there's room for something else to move in.
Yeah,
Old funguses are very good host for all the bacteria, all the viruses,
I know.
all
Yeah,
the RNA, DNA thingy. So with that, I think that's one of the biggest reasons, and it's often overlooked. People
yes,
have whatever they have, and they don't think about fungus
right.
as being the root causes. And in the past, I have always recommended the Candida be one of the very first things people run with the
Oh,
BCX.
okay.
That, the Candida, and a general cleanse for bacteria, because here are two of your biggest things. There's bacteria everywhere. I call it wormies. There's wormies everywhere.
Okay. Technical talk here. Yeah, you're right.
Serious. And so I found if I could make people laugh, it helps a little. So that's kind of
You know,
strategy.
I remember when we were making wine, we used to make wine, my daughter and I. And it was really, really important that we didn't contaminate the wine, the fermentation process, with all of the mold and stuff in the air.
Here. Mhm.
And and that was like way back then, I was aware that we were using a particular kind of bacteria, I guess, to ferment the wine, but we didn't want other kinds of little fermenters that, buggered up the system. And that really, that was my first awareness that there was fungus everywhere.
Everywhere. Well, and there's bacterias everywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, it's part of the system, and in general, your body, when you're strong, when you're healthy, your body fights that stuff off without any problem.
right.
It's just when it gets overgrown that
Yeah,
it starts to stress the system and invade everywhere. There's bacterias and funguses inside of us that we would die if we didn't have them,
I know.
like the cultures in the yogurts and stuff. So
Yeah,
there's things that are good and things that are bad and things that are good that sometimes turn bad. So it's complicated.
it is. It is. And uh, back in the day, way back before I went to medical school and learned about natural healing, that was one of the big focuses was you don't want to destroy the bacteria that are good, that keep the bad bacteria in check. And right there, I quit using, and there was a woman who came to clean,
Uh,
and
yep.
she said, I don't want to use all those poisons. And I'm like, well, what are we going to use? And she said, give me some vinegar, get me some baking
Exactly.
soda, um, give me some ammonia, a little bit of bleach, maybe. And she used whatever, whatever she was cleaning. She had a different approach. And I thought, oh, wow. And that, I stopped using dish soap that kills,
Right.
it's antibacterial, kills 99.9% of the bacteria. What does it leave? It leaves that 1/10 of 1% that are absolute killers.
Yeah,
And
the mutant strain
yeah,
that can't be killed with that stuff.
I know they have to be kept in check. And I think, that's one of the things that really got me to think about, okay, the balance and the pH. You have to have the right pH to stay in balance.
That's
So,
true.
yeah. So, what happens if, in your mind, that people get toenail fungus, for instance? What's
Uh,
going on in their body that results in toenail fungus?
there again, it can have several causes. Something like you were just talking about, the laundry detergent they're using, fabric softener can
Yeah.
cause these irritations. Most often, it's a sign of what you thought you might have, which would be systemic,
Yeah.
which means there is fungus that is running through the body and just taking up residence in various locations.
Yep.
And your feet are hot and sweaty sometimes if you wear shoes and socks all day long.
Yep.
Some people sweat a lot on their feet, they smell terrible.
Yeah.
And, and that's a sign that you are toxic and you have toxic organisms
Right.
running through your bloodstream. So if it's a fungus, it gets in your feet and stays there, and they call it toenail fungus. You
Ah,
know, it may be just your standard candida from regular candida, but
yeah.
now it's in your toenail, so it's toenail fungus.
Yeah. I
There's
did
all
have
kinds of
candida.
fancy names for things these
Right.
days.
Yeah. I think between, yeah, you're right. But
Mhm.
between toenail fungus or even fingernail fungus,
Exactly.
yeast infections, women get yeast infections vaginally all the time. Sometimes,
And their husbands have it too, and the husbands don't want to hear this, and that's why the women can't get rid of it.
oh, wow. I didn't think about, yeah.
Oh boy, I've had lots of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Lots and lots of that, because if your partner doesn't get rid of it, then you're not going to either. You
Right.
may get rid of it for a while, come right back. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
If both partners aren't addressing the situation,
Yeah.
then it's just going to go round and round. I've
Okay.
had a lot of that. I've had a lot of that in my experience with,
Okay.
folks, people, married people and otherwise, they, yeah.
Yeah. And, sometimes once in a while, both partners are really interested in being healthy, but usually it's one and the other doesn't want anything to do with anything out of the ordinary. And so they've grown up with conventional thinking, conventional medicine, and they're stuck. They're stuck in that and they
That
can't
makes it
fix it.
really hard. That makes it really
I
hard
know. I
until,
know.
until something happens that proves it otherwise.
Yeah.
I had a woman way back when I first started with Sally, and her husband was as skeptical as the day was long, and blah, blah, blah. He was a stupid machine, blah, blah, blah. So one day I get this, Sally was getting better. Chuck didn't want anything to do with it. One day I get this message on my phone. It was so funny. He calls up and he says, Friday night, I came home with this god awful cold. I ran that stupid machine and the darn thing worked.
Very good. That's
So
what
you
it's
only have
supposed to do.
Chuck on the right side. So sometimes something easy and simple, a pain in their knee, you can
Oh,
fix with the frequency and get at least
Yeah.
a little bit of leeway. Then they're like, oh, well, maybe this will help something else.
That's right.
You
That's,
know, you usually can't convince them right away, and that's often unfortunate.
I
Yeah.
think one of the things people would benefit from understanding is that, let's say you have a minor fungal infection and the immune system is taking care of that. But what is it letting go of to take care of that constant fungal infection? Is it
Well,
your joint? Is it your knees? Is it your brain? Is it your heart? You cannot afford to carry that fungal infection or
right.
a low grade viral or low grade bacterial infection. And the teeth are especially vulnerable places because the roots of teeth have all these little tubules in the roots. Bacteria hide in there until the antibiotic is gone, and then they come out and cause more havoc. And
You know
they,
the old saying, it's all in your head. It really
yes,
is.
I know that's true.
In a really big way. And I learned that the hard way. So, well, a lot of stuff went into my brain and nervous system and did tremendous amount of chaos.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Wow.
well, I almost died in order to get involved with the machine. So
Yeah.
it's pretty intense.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, when you get that desperate, though, and you'll try something, sometimes it's a revelation, and everything in your life turns over, turns for the better.
Right. Well, but I was already on a healing path that I
Okay.
thought was going to make me healthy enough to stave off this type of thing and had been on that for quite a few years. And the whole world imploded.
Oh,
So,
uh-huh. Wow.
yeah, things like that happen to people.
I was thinking, I was just recently, I was thinking about all of the vitamins and all of the nutritional stuff that I do, and all this was before I ran this fungal thing, just as well, maybe I have a fungus, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm taking all these things, C60, which is not cheap,
Yeah.
um, eating really good quality food, drinking water like I should, I'll exercise, everything. And and all of a sudden I had this, I wonder how well I'm supporting the fungus by doing all this stuff.
Right.
Or
And the juices are particularly bad because they tend to be overloaded with sugar.
oh,
Even apples. My biggest wake up call was carrot juice. Do you know what carrots are on the glycemic index?
now they're
They're off the chart.
yeah, right.
The sugar.
Well,
Yeah.
especially the new hybrid versions of carrots that have been engineered to be very sweet, and
Right.
they don't have the vitamin A that
No,
carrots used to have. And a lot of food has
it's
been
done. Yeah.
re-engineered for that reason, for
Well,
shipping.
back when I was doing it, they hadn't hardly started the engineering.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I started when I was in my 20s. That's a long time ago now.
Okay. I don't know.
You
Uh,
and me both. We've
yeah,
been there a long
yeah,
time.
been around the block a couple of times.
Yes, more than once. And so,
Yeah,
back then, the things were not the genetic engineering wasn't as prevalent in
yeah.
it's everywhere now.
Even back in the 20s, I'm trying to think of the name of the guy, famous, name started with a B. Um, he was hybridizing all kinds of things.
Right.
And one of the things that they were doing on this really crazy idea that white vegetables would be more pure,
Right. Mhm.
religious thing. And
Yes.
you take out the color, you take out the nutrition.
Nutrition.
Yeah. The
Religion. That was how I found out about Candida. I decided I was going to get enlightened if I became a fruitarian.
oh, whoops. Uh-oh. Oh,
I spent almost 7 years eating nothing but fruit, but I was in Florida, so I had avocado and coconut and raised my own papaya and ended up
whoa.
with really big problem with candida from the
Yeah,
sugar. That's where I really learned a lot about sugars and how many things you don't think of, like a carrot. You don't think of sugar when you're eating
right.
carrots. But here I was doing all this juice fasting and carrot juice, and of course there was always wheatgrass juice, our favorite thing, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. I think there's a book out that I think people should read. It is dynamite. It's called The Vegetarian Myth.
Yep,
And
I can really attest to that.
I can too. After 10 years as a vegetarian and part-time vegan, I got to the point that I came down with such severe rheumatoid arthritis. I couldn't bend, I couldn't sit, I couldn't pick up anything, I couldn't open anything. I mean, it was terrible. If I sat down, I couldn't get up.
Yep,
And
been there, done that.
yeah,
Been 18 years
yeah.
as a
Okay.
raw food vegan. And I grew all the sprouts and I grew, like I said, I was in South Florida where I could have this amazing tropical fruit
Oh,
right
wow.
off the tree.
Yeah,
And the big, switch
yeah,
at the sodium potassium inversion, my body started consuming my muscles for its own protein,
yeah.
including my heart.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that was
Yeah,
just part of the
we are
process.
carnivores.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
have evolved on meat, milk, eggs, and a few
Right.
bacteria used to make cheese and yogurt. Um,
And I think it's really good to eat a lot of vegetables and fresh food, but
it
I
is.
really, everybody needs the meat. What, they think they don't. Now they're trying to push all this meat, a substitute on everybody. And oh my gosh, I've been
Good
through,
luck. I'll see you
oh,
next
I've been
lifetime.
through that, that's really hard on you.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Oh
the
my
will
gosh.
digest the proteins and the stupid stuff.
Right. Yeah, that book, The Vegetarian
Processed.
Myth, just lays it out there. And she says she's done her homework. She also just about destroyed herself
Yep.
trying to be vegetarian.
You have to do it to get it pretty
Yeah,
much, you
right.
know.
That is true. And she said there's moral vegetarians and there's
Mhm.
political vegetarians and then there's nutritional vegetarians and none of it works. And
That's right.
that is what Weston Price discovered when he went around the world looking
Right.
at people's diet. Who's the healthiest? It
Right. They
was
were not vegetarians.
no, he said in no case would the
Yeah.
vegetarian diet um, result in healthy, resilient people. And I remember reading that and thinking, I don't know if that's true. But the more I studied, the more I learned it was like, oh, wow. Okay. And then, looking at my grandma's diet and my mother and grew up, on the farm. And grandma and grandpa, her father, both lived to be over 100.
Oh,
And
wow. Good for them.
yeah, yeah, grandma was 80 years old when she decided I'm going traveling. She traveled the world. I think she was in her late 80s when she broke her hip. And the doctor said to her, Flossie, you're never going to walk again. And
Right.
she was just like, you don't know what you're talking about. And she healed herself and got back to walking. 10 years later, she broke it again and still continued to heal and walk. And
Yeah.
that's an immune system condition called high immune function.
Right.
We have lost, uh,
Yeah.
we've lost,
We've
period.
lost it. Yes. And we've got so many outside factors that we didn't have even 20 years ago,
Yeah,
much less if you talk about 50 to 100 years ago.
I know.
The
Yeah.
plastics, the petrochemicals, and then there's our favorite thing, technology, Wi-Fi.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
All of that.
what do you
that
do with it?
takes us down, and you have to constantly be on guard and correcting for that. And then and those are the things we've added on top of the things Mother Nature has, which is,
Yes, for us, it's just
yeah,
plenty.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
so
So,
it gets to be a lot to think about when you talk about wanting to heal,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
it is a lot to think about.
Mhm.
You have to change everything about your life.
Mhm.
Most,
Because what you've been doing for 20 or 30 years is how you got where you are.
that's
And if
right.
you're not willing to change, then you're going to go right back. You might get better for a while, five
That's right.
years, then you'll go right back to whatever the pattern was.
Yeah. I was talking with Bruce just recently because he
Speaking
wants.
of Bruce, I'd love to hear from him. He never answers my email.
Okay. I think he's got another phone number, so you might need to get his most recent phone number. But
I'll have to
he
give it
said,
to me.
are you going to write something that explains how to use the BCX and how important the mindset is, as well as all of the
Yeah.
stuff going around? I said, yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. I
Well, I
do.
want to help, but if you've noticed, I'm terrible at writing.
I don't think you do a bad job.
And even worse at spelling. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I can correct spelling,
Well, been dyslexic forever, my whole life,
Oh, okay.
hey, they thought you were retarded when you were
I
like that.
know.
As a kid in school, they kind of treated me that way.
That just
But
really
they
bothers
didn't know any better, right? How
me. I
many
know.
kids have gotten in
I know.
trouble with on that story? They don't know any better.
No, no, they don't. And I think the number of children who have grown up with some form of dyslexia or ADD or ADHD, that's really kind of enlightened people about,
Yes, absolutely. They
yeah,
couldn't fit into this reality, and everything around them is against what they innerly they know.
that's right.
Every, because I'm one of those, and if I were in school now, they'd try to put all that ADD drug and all that garbage in me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
A lot of that stuff is also facilitated with the technology
I
for
know.
us. Lighting, computers out the yin yang, the cell
I know.
phone tower, the cell tower sits in the play yard, for God's sakes.
Oh
You
my
know,
God.
I
I
mean,
haven't seen that.
already
That's good.
and we don't even know it.
Wow. Wow. Do you know if there's like a frequency that would help with ADD or ADHD?
It depends on the situation. There are another number of things. If they've
Okay.
got toxins from vaccines,
Oh,
once again, I'm going to reference the brainwave patterns, especially in the young children.
yeah.
If you can get them on a program that normalizes or gives them normal brainwave functions, they will operate better no matter what they've been diagnosed with.
Well, that's true. And the what goes on in the gut is a big factor in terms of brainwave function and
There
patterning.
you go. If you got candida in the gut, you got problems.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. And then heavy metals.
Yeah,
Those and people get parasites and
yeah.
I
Well,
just
parasites and candida go very close. Any of the gut dysfunctions will allow the parasites to proliferate. So
okay.
they're kind of a matched pair, one leads to the other, and so
Yeah.
forth. And
I
of course,
have
if you've got all that going on, they're stealing your nutrition.
I know.
So what are you gonna you're taking all these vitamins and healthy food, and the bugs are getting it all.
I know that's true. The wormies.
Wormies, yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Yes,
my.
if we don't laugh, it becomes overwhelmingly
I
scary.
know. I know.
It really does.
So what you just highlighted is something that I have thought for quite a while that if we could fix the gut function of
Mhm.
all those kids with ADD and ADHD, it would just eliminate the ADD or the ADHD.
It would help a lot there again, depending on the entire circumstance for the child, that
Yeah.
they would have to work also on reorganizing their brain patterns so that they functioned a little bit, whatever normal, or more comfortably in their environment,
Well,
school.
some of that can be done with acupuncture.
Yes.
But another thing that we don't do that the ancients used to do, we don't really get the entire nervous system working and functioning well. We have the baby, we wrap it up tight. What does it really need? It needs to be massaged from head to toe for the first 3-4 days in order to get the entire system functioning in top form, top condition.
Well, and nowadays, unless you really are aware, they put all kinds of things in those babies. They shoot them full of
Oh,
all sorts of horrible stuff.
I
And you've got to fight for your life and the child's life just to avoid it. And
yeah,
that's really wrong.
I
There
know.
really is hardly any choice. And the parents are intimidated and scared and they don't know what to do. And it's just horrible.
I know. I think that also the putting away of the old folks into nursing homes, there goes
Mhm.
all that wisdom,
That's
all
right.
the input that would help guide the younger ones and help them understand what do they need to be concerned about and what is not important.
Right.
And they don't get that guidance.
We had that. Grandma lived with the family. In the indigenous cultures, the elders were there always with
That's
the children.
right. That's
So,
right.
and I mean, even 100 years ago in this country, grandma and grandpa always lived with
Yeah.
the family.
I
They,
know.
they had the whole family was in the group, they didn't throw out the wisdom or
You
lock
know,
the wisdom away like they're too old.
I know. I was just, I'm in the process of recording Robes as an audiobook. And I forgot, I wrote that, 30 years ago? And I forgot some of the things that were in it. So I'm reading
Yeah,
it.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that the Little Man in Brown Robes highlighted was the extended family served a tremendous function in terms of preserving and passing on wisdom and knowledge and being of service in little ways. And I remember they were saying like Uncle Joe used to just mow the grass every week and maybe babysit the dogs if you went on vacation and a few other things like that. Maybe babysit for the kids or whatever. And now you have to pay for all of that, and
Mhm.
nobody is appreciated for the little things that they do. So we've really kind of shattered. And it isn't just the health, it's the family, it's the information channels
Well, I
that
think it's the
it,
whole social structure has shattered.
yeah,
There's not that community. Used to be everybody'd show up and help you raise the barn. Your house burned down, they'd help you fix it.
that's right.
There's very little of that. Now, sometimes it takes extreme things like what happened in Texas.
Oh,
I read about the one community that the people, their homes have been destroyed, but they're out there rebuilding the bridge so they can get supplies because there's no government to help them.
that's right.
Nobody's coming, no, whatever, isn't rescuing them.
Yeah.
Whoever it is supposed to do that.
I think that's a very good point. And I've watched kind of what's not happening in North Carolina. Same thing. It's up to you. If you lose it all, then you have to fix it all. You have to rebuild. And I think that's the same concept that people are not, I don't know if they don't have permission to rebuild themselves, to regenerate from the ground up so that they're healthy and vibrant and strong and able to work like they did when they were 20 or 30. That, a lot of people just say, I'm too old. And that's like,
Feel that way, but
yeah, you're copping out. That's an excuse.
yeah, exactly.
I know I shouldn't say that in public. People will probably get on my case for,
Like
I
that.
have this problem and I have that. I'm like, yeah, I've had a lot of those problems, but you have to fix them.
I
And
think in so many ways, and that's part of some of the wisdom you try to share. People have lost their inner wisdom
Yeah.
They've lost their sovereignty. They've looked to whoever, whatever, somebody rescue me,
Yeah.
whether it's a doctor or a fireman or who it is. Not to say any of these people are wrong, but in my opinion, you need to be able to rescue yourself, whatever's going on.
That's true.
And
That's
that's
true.
where you
And
stand with your own sovereignty, if you will, in all levels.
I know.
You
Oh
know, if
my,
I'm going to be rescued, then what's going on here?
and I think that that's one of the great values of the BCX that is so important. You can kind of take back that authority to heal yourself and trust yourself to figure out what's wrong. What do I need
Well,
to
that's
do?
very true. And in an hour or so, you can use the frequencies to change the situation in the moment. Now, whether it's a
Right.
hard, fast, I'm cured kind of thing, that may not be true, but you have power to change it.
I know.
And sometimes that gives you more power there again to take more responsibility for continuing to walk the path that is the change you need,
Right. Yeah.
which, as you know, can be tough if it's fungus.
Yeah. I was just thinking, well, some people have said, well, I ran this or I ran that, didn't work. I'm like, well, then you didn't have that problem. You haven't
Well,
identified
not at the
the
moment
problem.
anyway,
Yeah.
because
Because
I did go through various stages. I had a young man that was quite extraordinarily sick with the Lyme.
oh,
And that's all they told him, Lyme, Lyme, Lyme. And he was so focused on that. And that's all he wanted to do. And he wasn't getting anywhere. And he had the machine for a couple of months. And I said, I just have a feeling, which I had a little more than a feeling. I said, you've got parasites. Please, Matt, do this for me. He grumbled and grumbled. So he ran the frequencies I gave him for 4 days. He calls me up. He goes, I'm dying. I go, well, they had told me
oh,
that
wow.
the whole family and all of them were hunters. So they hunted wild game and he'd grown up on wild meat. He had a parasite from moose.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Yes. And once he got that out of him, which took almost 2 months or got it way down, then he started getting help with his Lyme symptoms.
Oh, wow.
But you see, there again, and those parasites were not only in his guts, he'd had it so long they had moved into the liver
Oh,
and had done some damage. He was a young man and,
yeah.
pretty with. He was trying to learn, is what it would amounted to, but at least he was really going through the test and
Yeah.
the hard part, the cleansing, which it can be terribly hard, as you
I
see.
know. Oh,
Especially when you do so much at once.
that's not a good idea. So,
Not.
you can't be in a hurry with healing because the body has its limits. It has its tolerances. And
Well, and
see
the
those.
body has its wisdom, just like with this young man.
Yes,
The body wanted those worms from the moose gone before it was going to allow the healing for the other part.
that's true. You know, when I do
The
it,
body wants certain things taken care of, and you may or may not listen well enough to know that. Now, see, you've got sort of an inclination.
I do, you know.
You're kind of like me. You hear things and get these brilliant ideas.
Uh-huh. Let me try. I just have a feeling. Let me try
What
this.
about this?
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah, and that really is I think that's a gift as well as something that has to be handled pretty carefully. And when you're in a hurry, the message that you should be telling yourself is, I should have paid attention months ago or years ago. Now I have to back up and do this first before I can do that and that. And you have your eye on the target, but you can't build a house in the air. First, you have to dig a foundation.
Right.
And once you have that firm foundation and systems are kind of clear, or you've reduced the parasites to, to minuscule level. Yeah.
You're probably never going to get rid of all of it.
No. And being on the farm.
If you get rid of 75 to 85%, you're
Oh, that's
there.
huge. Yeah.
That's huge. And in many cases, people with certain issues, if they get rid of 50%,
Yeah.
they get their life back.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a lot. I mean, no, you're not quote unquote miraculously healed forever, but now
Right.
you can live your life.
Yeah. You get a leg up to get ahead of it all. And I don't know. I haven't counted, but there have been so many people that I know that have had cancer who said, I got rid of my parasites. And all of a sudden the cancer, what I was doing for the cancer was working. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
the body has its priorities. Um,
right.
that has to be kept in mind.
Well, but now with a situation like the cancer, if you don't heal that pattern that established it,
Yeah,
you're
that
going to
is
be
true.
right back. In 5 years, it'll be back.
Yeah.
And it'll be
It's a
worse.
pattern of neglect, I call it.
Or misuse, if you will, maybe in some cases.
Yep.
You wouldn't pour sugar in your car forever and ever and ever. So
Jeez,
you're pouring sugar in your body forever and ever,
I
20,
know.
30, 40 years.
Mhm.
Alcohol, smoking, blah, blah, blah. These are things, that's a pattern that has to
Yeah.
change.
I was thinking about how fortunate I was. I grew up on well water.
Good for you.
It wasn't city water. We grew our own food. I resented that. I wanted all that food in those pretty boxes, but we had plain,
Lucky you.
I know. And the whole thing in terms of like parasites, I did get some of those. They're pretty nasty. But overall, I think the way that I grew up out in the country, away from a lot of things, really helped give me a firm basis. And even though the food started changing when I was a girl, so that we had homogenized pasteurized milk, for instance, so toxic to the body. And, McDonald's came online when I was 14. All of a sudden, people were eating a lot of junk. Uh, and gas stations used to be just gas.
Now
And
they sell all the junk.
yeah, now they're junk stores, junk food junctions. So it's I don't I don't eat sugar as a rule. If I'm going to have a cup of coffee once in a while, I'll put like a half teaspoon of sugar in it because I don't like the taste of coffee, but I like the warmth of it.
I drink warm water.
Yeah, and that helps. But um,
Ginger works.
yeah, I other than that, I don't have sugar, so I might get over the course of a year maybe a tablespoon or two of sugar. That's it. I don't like sugar to begin with. I want to taste the real food.
Right.
And so and I don't drink. I mean, once in a while I'll have a drink if there's a party going on here or something, but that's an exception. And I never did smoke. So all of those things that I saw everybody else doing and often felt like I want to be part of that group, but I didn't want to be part of that lifestyle. Now is paying off. I'm older and I look at some of them are gone already. And my reaction has been, what? You're leaving already? And and they are. And I am stunned sometimes at how people don't know. They don't know how to take care of a body.
No, they don't. They don't have a clue.
Yeah. And I think this tool is one of the most amazing tools. There's another tool out there that does some diagnosis based on your frequencies. I started hearing about that years ago and I can't remember what the name of it.
There are quite a lot of them now
Are
that
there?
do. They often call them biofeedback.
What are they any good?
Not often. There are a few that are better than others. The
Okay.
biggest issue that I can see personally, I tell people as a joke, but it's really not. After all these years in this field, if you will, I have a lot of opinions.
Okay.
Those for a good reason.
Okay. Yeah.
That doesn't mean I agree with the norm out there.
Okay.
And so the diagnostics, they are often off. They are dependent on whoever's analyzing them. And I had a very wise man tell me, a doctor who had many years helping hundreds, if not thousands of people,
Yeah.
that you cannot digitalize the subtleties of a body or an organism.
Ah,
And that really struck home. The other thing is the people that build these machines are software computer people. They're not healers.
well, that's true.
But the
I,
digitalization of a natural substance, you can't. I don't know how. And this came a long, long time ago
yeah.
because he used a very ancient method. Now they would consider it. They used to do acupuncture according to electrodermal analysis, according to Volt. He was a European German guy, and they tested Chinese meridians and stuff against the actual substance. Now that worked, but now we've got it all in a computer program. There's no real. It's not real. It's a virtual
You
thing.
know what? When I was married, my husband was an amazing electrician, and he taught electricity for Michigan Bell or for AT&T, and then became Michigan Bell. But
Right.
one of the things that I got all excited about was the software programs that would, how do I say it? They would reproduce certain sounds, certain music.
Mhm.
He also happened to be a sound engineer.
Uh-huh.
And he said he had some gadget that he was testing with. So I had this program and it was supposed to be, a certain frequency. And I thought, okay, is this working? And he said, well, is that frequency that they say it's producing really what it's producing? And he got out some of his tools and he said he tested several different kinds of equipment producing the sound. And he said, it's all different.
Yep.
It's in the range, but it's all different.
And
And
they've got all these healing programs now online from the computers
yeah,
telling whatever hurts. And I make the joke, if unconditional love is 528 hertz, we are in big trouble.
I
Talk
know.
about a low vibration. Well,
I know.
you
Not
know,
even close.
this is not popular. This makes me a bad person.
No, I have heard that 432 hertz, 528 hertz.
Feels it all, and this is just nonsense.
It's a root
Yeah.
frequency for holding the body together.
Well, not only that, but if you listen to it on the internet, you listen to it with tuning forks, you listen to it with state of the art crystal bowls with gemstones in them. You've
Okay.
got, like your husband found, it's in a range, but it's all really, really different.
Yeah. And he said the speaker is going to, the quality of the speaker
There, yes.
is going to affect what actually comes out of the equipment. And
That's right.
I said, oh, okay. All right. And he said, if you get these speakers, maybe you'll get it closer. But these are crap. And they
Yeah,
don't,
exactly.
they don't reproduce sound well at all. And that was a kind of a awakening for me.
It's the same type of thing when they're trying to analyze your body with a machine.
Yeah.
There again, you've got these subtle energies and everything that's playing into this organism. And this machine is taking it in and spitting it out. But how much distortion? I mean, it may be within a range, it may
Yeah.
be closer, some are closer than others, but
I
it's
know. Yeah.
distorted to a point.
I think that's one of the things about the BCX that I like when it says, okay, this is for this frequency. I'm like, okay, and you go down with terrible flu symptoms, aches, pains, fatigue, burning eyes, sometimes nausea,
Mhm.
etc. Then you know that, wow, you hit something. So
Right.
something's working with that frequency, and it seems to be really predictable, really steady.
Well,
So,
the frequencies are calibrated so that they're about as exact as they can be.
yeah,
You know, over any delivery, say you run a number for 3 minutes, it's going to waver a little, but in a way
that's
that's
true.
what you want.
But that's the
You want to
natural way
live.
that waves
The
move.
natural way of a wave. It's a waveform.
Yeah.
So it has to move some. It's not static. You don't want this. That won't
No.
work.
No.
And I've had people, they get tri-field meters from Radio Shack or wherever they get them. They don't have Radio Shack anymore, but
Yeah. Okay.
BCX, but that's a joke. You need a really high-end
Yeah,
oscilloscope to read the
that's right.
frequencies and everything.
Yep,
The
that's
other
true.
thing about the BCX is that you can put anything in there you want or
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
And if you are inclined or skilled enough that you listen, you can get the frequencies that you
Yeah.
need. I had a
There
one,
are charts.
and I had a lady, and she wasn't into all that woo woo, whatever you want to call it. So one day she had a machine about 6 or 8 months. She calls and she says, every morning I wake up with the same three numbers. I said, my God, put them in your machine. And she did, and it changed everything for
Oh,
her.
wow.
Getting these as a dream kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she didn't know quite what to do with it. It was information coming, and she didn't know how to listen
You
or
know
to
what?
accept it.
That highlights something I think we have to develop, which is trust in the system, the body mind system, enough to understand that it knows what it needs and what it wants. And it will tell you
It
something that
was.
you don't have any idea how to approach something. And then you have some dream or you have a vision or just a hunch.
or,
And
or just this funny thought. I call them
yes,
voices, this voices thing, just this funny thought. Well, that doesn't compute, but maybe I should
yes,
listen.
that's exactly right. And when you do and you heal, you're like, oh, wow, that's how
They're
this is
trying to
supposed to.
tell me.
Yeah. And when if you have a tool like the BCX that really does a great job of going after certain frequencies, then your intuition plus that tool, wow, I
Oh,
think,
yeah, you're only limited by what you can imagine
yep,
and
yeah,
and and conceive of. There
right.
is really no limit.
Yeah. Oh my,
And to get rid of certain things just takes longer than
right.
others.
Well, let me ask you before we close, what frequencies, these frequencies that you sent, are these what you would recommend for fungus in this order?
As a beginning, I would, yes.
Okay.
That's frequency sets. 211 is something I've been telling people to do for almost 30 years.
Okay.
Right away. When you get your machine, do this one first. This
Okay.
one, because there again, it's kind of like the parasites. If you've got the fungus and the parasites in your gut, you are not assimilating your food and your
Oh,
nutrition properly, and you can never get well if you're
that's
not
right.
getting nutrition.
That's right.
So that's ABC. And so those ones that I picked out late last night, I had this thing. I need to do this,
Yeah.
along with all those symptoms, because I want
Yeah.
people to understand how much
Yeah.
that fungus can cause. Now, if you wanted to post that, we could do that somewhere.
I think we might
Mm.
post some of this in the info underneath, but
Yeah,
I want to just point out what you have said. Symptoms of candidiasis, which is candida,
data.
include
And
fatigue.
that's a really broad term for a lot of different types of fungus.
Yeah, yeah, I gathered that.
Yeah.
But the symptoms include fatigue, digestive issues, mood swings, and brain fog. You can also have rashes. I've seen some pretty rough rashes.
Yep.
Itchiness, seborrheic dermatitis. That's awful. Oh my.
But see,
Hair,
now that's coming out of the skin, just
I
like
know.
the toenail fungus is
Yep.
going to the toes. It's coming out of your skin.
Yeah,
The fungus is basically.
I know. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah. And then you have all sorts of hair loss if that fungus infection gets in your scalp. Uh,
Mhm.
allergies, heat sensitivity, absolutely cannot stand the heat. Usually because you're running too hot to begin with. The body's
Right. Well,
working
like
overtime to try to heal.
there again, the toxins end up coming out of the skin. So the
Yeah,
body kind of knows that, and it doesn't really want all that goo on the skin.
I know. Then there's breathing problems, brain fog, anxiety and depression. And then if you get a fungal infection, depending on the type and the location of the infection, you could have itching or redness. That was
Mhm.
what got my attention, red
Right.
spots. Why
That's
won't those red spots heal? I've done
because
everything I know.
yeah,
So
out.
redness, red spots, burning sensations, flaking, or cracking skin and rashes.
Yeah.
More severe infections can lead to fever, cough, difficulty breathing, and in some cases, systemic issues in your organs like the lungs, the brain, or the bloodstream.
Yeah. The
So
lungs and the brain, the funguses can really affect your brain
I
function.
know, oh my,
Brain fog and the mood thing where
yeah,
everybody's so paranoid or they're very anxious or they're having illusions that somebody's after them and this kind of thing, and depression. Oh my God.
I
That was
know,
one of the
oh
things
wow.
that really got me. It was the depressions. And I'm like, I can deal with everything but these darn depressions.
Yeah, that is true. And I think that when you get a fungal infection in the brain or it moves to the brain or even gets in the blood,
Oh yeah.
then that's when you're going to hit the depressions and
Right.
and almost like a dementia that just
So
keep
it's a fog around you because it's
yeah,
all full of gook. You're full of goo.
yeah, right.
Very scientific. We're full of goo.
So here's what Judy would recommend to run. 209 Candida tertiary. Okay, so pre-program 209. Pre-program number 211, that's the Candida, and you should probably run that with general parasite frequency as
I
well.
would run one at a time, but I would use the parasites along with the idea
Yeah.
of the Candida
Okay.
programs.
Right.
Funguses and the parasites go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But just like we talked about earlier with what you did, you don't know. You ran 4 or 5 sets and you don't know which one, or
I
maybe
know.
you only needed two. See, it's a lot of stuff that you want to narrow it down so you're not spending all this time running things that aren't helping as much.
You know what my gut said afterwards? It
What
was
was
the
it?
Candida and the Trichophyte.
Yeah, I would say so too. Mhm.
Yeah, but I don't
And the
have any.
Trichophyty is not one I thought of. So there you go.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not on that list.
Well, trichophyty is a like a fungal infection that just gets everywhere in the body, including systemically, and it's one of the causes of ridged fingernails, and that's what I was going after.
Well, all of the funguses can do that. They can
Yeah,
go anywhere in the body.
yeah.
And some certain things are more prone to going into the nervous system and the brain,
Oh, yeah.
which, there we've got Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, brain fog, paranoia. I'm so anxious I can't sleep, blah,
I
blah,
know.
blah. It just goes on and on.
Oh my God, yes.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that we have 209 and 211. Those are both candidas.
Uh-huh.
Then we have 454 and 456, which I
You
ran,
got
but
those.
yeah, I didn't have any reaction to those.
Uh-huh.
And that 454 is general fungus and mold, and 456 is fungal infection. And
Hmm.
then 457 is general fungus, and also it seems to accompany candida and yeast infections and
Right.
other specific types of fungus. So
Right.
that's 457. So I have 454, 56, and 57.
So these
456.
are all pre-programs in the machine in the
Right.
Yes.
And then I did not try the mold one. Mold is 772.
Right.
So um when I went down, I think I was running the custom program number 13 for healing.
Mhm.
I think it was I forget what the numbers were for support of the kidneys and the liver,
Right. Yeah.
almost constantly trying to feel better. And I did eventually, but wow, I
Well,
thought,
see, running those probably helped you get better faster.
yeah,
And of course, it supported your kidneys, especially kidneys in your lymph when you
I'll
overload
tell you
like
what, my kidneys have
iron
been
ore.
very tender ever since.
Mhm. Yeah, you overdid it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I
So be
have done
careful.
that a couple of times.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll just say that trichophyty, which is another general, it's widespread. There's all kinds of forms of trichophyty. That's 1173 and 1174. I think it's a longer version of it.
Mhm.
So get yourselves healthy again
Yeah,
and use the BCX for all the basic things. And then what you discover is, holy cow, the body heals itself.
that's right. Well, and we were talking about diagnoses and stuff. You
Yeah,
will also find with it that the sets you react to, like the ones you reacted to, are what you need. You don't need a fancy diagnosis with some name you never heard of.
that's true.
If I run this group of frequencies, whatever we call it, and it makes me feel yucky,
I know.
then I need to clear that out of my body. This yucky is toxins and critters, if you will, that I do not need.
That's
So
right.
you kind of get your answer.
I
And I'm
know.
always telling people it doesn't matter what you call it. If it's
Right.
feeding on you and making you
I know.
feel bad or pulling you down, it needs to go,
Yeah. It,
out,
that
out with
is
it.
so true. And I remember Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. William Kelly both saying in different ways, the problem is that people don't know how to keep the body clean. And
That's right. That's the biggest problem.
yeah,
Mhm.
and
Well,
all
and I
those
think they
things.
don't understand nutrition, like we were talking about earlier with the vegan stuff.
Yeah,
There's a million fad diets and they 20, 30 pounds overweight, whatever it takes to lose this. Well,
50, 100.
if you got rid of the organisms that are making you crave sugar, you'd probably drop 20 pounds pretty easy.
That is true. That is so true. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
When the body comes back into balance and doesn't have this load of gooeys and junk,
Exactly.
toxins, dead tissue that the liver can barely process because it's so overloaded, you're going to gain weight. You're going to have headaches. You're going to have fatigue. You're not going to have energy. You're not going to have clarity.
Well, and then eventually it's going to turn into something else.
I know. Yeah.
And I myself am the perfect example. I had to learn all of this
I
all
know.
by myself, basically. And there are a half a dozen things now that I have no excuse for living through. They are virtually 80, 90% functional when they didn't work at all.
Yeah.
And
Right.
when I was sick, I lost all of my motor skills. I couldn't write, I couldn't drive. Many days I couldn't even tell you what my name was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. And my kidneys, they were like 80%, 85% dead. Now they're 85% okay.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
yeah, this was not easy.
No, it is not.
and
And
it was
and that's something that we can't afford to do that.
no, and this was before the internet. We have so much information. Of course, that could be a double-edged sword, but
I know. That's
body is remarkable. Our bodies are the most remarkable things that have ever happened.
I
If we
know.
just knew how to take care of them.
I know. Well, we're learning, we're getting there. And
Yes.
we have these amazing tools at our disposal. And I think it's really given the fact that the I'm going to say, looks like the things are a little bit rough over the next few years. If we
Oh,
can't
yeah.
get some of the things that we have relied on
Well,
for
that only
healing.
happened, if everybody remembers, not so very long ago.
Yeah,
We were told to close the door and lock ourselves in and don't even go get groceries.
I
So,
know that was
and it's kind
stupid.
of weird and crazy.
Yeah. So this is something that is reliable, that you own, that is, you have it, you can help yourself and everybody in your family, and even maybe some of your neighbors if you like your neighbors.
That's
So,
right.
um, yeah.
And your pets, you can help your
Oh,
pets.
yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. My cats come and sit by my feet when I'm on when my feet are on the metal pads.
And
So,
you can't make a cat do anything.
no, that is for sure. Yeah.
If a cat likes it, it's got to be good.
I know. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. Thank you so much
Well,
for the
thank
time,
you.
for the
Absolutely.
input, for the good conversation. So, and you know what? Not very many people who sell BCX machines are willing to be supportive. And I so appreciate you being willing to support people. So,
Well, that was one of the big things because there was no one to help me. And at the time, I was so sick, I couldn't even think.
yeah,
And when I got better and decided to try to share the information, I said, well, I've got to teach people. If I don't, they won't get anywhere with it.
yeah,
Because if they buy it and they're overwhelmed, it goes in the closet and then it doesn't work because they're not using it,
that's right. Mine is set up and ready to use on
all the time. Me
all
too.
the time. Yep. I just sit down, get my, what do you call that? My Apple portable desk, put
Ah,
my
there you
computer
go.
on it and go to work. And while the BCX is working on me. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're going to call it good for today.
Okay, well, thank you for having me and sharing time and energy.
Oh
We've
my
had
God.
fun too.
Yeah.
Scary stuff, but we made it fun.
I know. I know. We have to laugh. Otherwise, we'll cry.
That's right.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. I hope this has been helpful. Don't hesitate to start taking care of yourself. It's never too late.
Never.
Okay.
You can always get better.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Bye bye.